Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Today, it's Monday, March 27th, and today is National Scribble Day, which makes a lot of sense because teachers don't teach kids how to read and write anymore. National Spanish Paella Day, so we know what Gretchen's making for dinner. It's International Medical Science Liaison Day, and that's right, National Joe Day. I'm sure they're not referring to Joe Biden. I'm sure they're referring to like Cup of Joe or something like that. Anything but Biden, in my opinion. But thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can use that little QR code right there in the top hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. If you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But today we have the dope dad coming up first. That's right. It's Rico Lamitte. Rico Lamitte had to stay at home this weekend and pack his things up and pack some boxes. You know, normally if you're in cannabis, packing boxes means something different. But for today, for Rico Lamitte, packing boxes has a whole new slang. That's right. It's the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Thank you, Jason. And boxes were packed, lots of them. And I hope I never have to move again. But thank you regardless. It's Scribble Day every single day for me. So just is what it is. Got to wash down these walls. My story today is about a looming threat we've seen for years now. Big tobacco. I mean, think about big tobacco. You can't think about anybody in America bigger than Altria. Altria is the LeBron James of capitalism. After nearly 200 years in the game, the corporation formerly known as Philip Morris is still ranked 79th globally by market cap. Since 1847, pumping out nothing but bangers. Altria's played an integral part in developing some of the biggest brands we know in America. It's Hall of Fame worthy, greatest hits portfolio. It's got names like Marlboro, Parliament, Virginia Slims, emphysema, lung cancer. Picking up young, lesser-known talent early has been key to Altria's success. This is why it should be no surprise to anybody that the big underdeveloped prospect Altria's got its eyes on next is cannabis. In 2020, cigarette sales spiked for the first time in 20 years thanks to... Sorry, my computer's all fucked up now. Can't even see nothing. You guys hear me? You guys hear me?
We hear you just fine. Keep on rolling.
I'm going dark. All right, so this is why it's no surprise. It should be no surprise to know anyone that the big underdeveloped prospect Altria's got eyes for next is cannabis. In 2020, cigarette sales spiked for the first time in 20 years thanks to the pandemic, bringing in $203.7 billion, slight increase from 202.9 billion 2019. But the win was short-lived. FTC reported this January sales dropped in 2022 to $190.2 billion, down 73% since 1981 peak of $636.5 billion. That's $2.1 trillion today in Joe Biden's hyperinflated America. But when you're good at capitalism for so long, you learn to listen to the market and shift accordingly. Less people smoking, so the natural shift is vapes, right? They did that. They bought Juul in 2018 for $13 billion. Didn't end up so well for them, though. It's worth about 5% of what they bought it for now. All good. They're going to get it back. What's the next trend? Wokeness? Jason Beck? Kind of. Altria is saying that the focus going forward is healthier products, relatively speaking. CEO Billy Gifford said Altria learned a lot losing almost $13 billion on Juul. This is what he said to the Wall Street Journal last week. Previously, we were chasing the market. You're constantly watching what the consumer is telling you in the marketplace, but none of them were satisfying the consumer enough to ultimately meet all their needs and desires. How do you meet them in that moment and fix their unmet needs and desires? It's coming from Big Tobacco. Well, apparently, there ain't going to be much smoke in whatever room said unmet needs and desires are getting fixed. Because for the first time in company history, Altria set volume and revenue goals for a transition to smoke-free products, aiming to increase smoke-free sales volume at least 35% through 2028 and double net revenue from smoke-free products to $5 billion, including $2 billion from new reduced risk products. According to the Wall Street Journal, that includes smokeless caffeine pouches and cannabis products. There you have it, folks. According to Altria's CEO, 5 years from now, folks are going to be walking around with lips full of Altria ground coffee beans and puffing on Marlboro Boof green live rosin disposable vapes. Altria's American capitalism story reminds me of one of my favorite movie quotes from Robert Duvall playing Officer Bob Hodges in Colors. Here's two bulls standing at the top of a mountain. The younger one says to the older one, "Hey, Pop, let's say we run down there and fuck one of them cows." The older one says, "No, son, let's walk down and fuck them all." The slow walk downhill began back in 2019 with the Kronos Group being first to bend over. If they put half that $2 billion planned into cannabis, it'll be about half Curaleaf's entire market cap as currently the world's biggest cannabis company. Also, LeBron James' net worth. Very interesting. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High 9 News, and I'd like to hear about you guys, from you guys. Are you ready for the big tobacco takeover? Because it looks like they're going to start doing.
Ain't scared. Big Tobacco was one of the main investors in Flowcana. They put in $125 million, and they have zero to show for it.
Yep. Also, I just want to say that when I came out of the cannabis closet, I came in a full-time role in a capacity in 2013 with a company that was owned by tobacco. Just saying.
I mean, I just find it extremely ironic, and I threw it in the chat, that the fact that Altria is focusing on healthier products.
Healthier.
Yes. So I guess the caffeine pouch that you're talking about that you put under your lip, Rico, would be a healthier.
Yeah, you're gonna be like have a lipper of
This is just
caffeine.
Basically. I mean, to me, it just sounds like they're just putting chew together with caffeine infused. You know what I'm saying? In that way,
bro. Have you seen those Canadips, Jay?
I think it's actually made for baseball players so they can finish the ninth inning.
Yo, have you seen those Canadips?
I had Canadips back in.
Yeah, I like those. They're like
2018. They're pretty good.
It's like organic coconut fiber infused with cannabinoids and sometimes terpenes.
It's like snus.
You feel kind of cool. You got a little thing in your lip. You can walk around, feel kind of cool.
You feel cool when you have things in your lip, huh?
Feel like a cowboy, bro.
What about a fat lip?
Yeah. Or a hole in your lip. How about that? A nice big hole.
Sandwich.
Yes. Nice big hole in your lip.
I find it sexy for kissing.
I don't need lip injection, dude.
Go ahead, Gretchen.
I think it's sweet that we think $120 million means anything to these people. I mean, when we're like, oh, they lost money. They don't give a, they don't care. They could buy this entire industry today with like their petty cash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're tiptoeing into this shit with half of Curaleaf's market
the fact
cap.
that they're getting into this, they're coming, they've been here, they're not going anywhere, deal with it.
I agree with that part.
Yeah, I don't think they're any threat, really. You know, we're going to see the same thing we see with everything else. Like McDonald's has billions of dollars in stores worldwide, but my bro Jose makes Peruvian food according to his mom's old recipes, and he's crushing it, dude. He's buying a food truck. He's expanding to a second restaurant because there's always lanes, and there'll always be a lane for quality. And the number one thing I think that we all need to do is to continue to focus on doing our best. And as somebody who's a longtime freak, like, I was ahead of the curve on just about everything, and now I got to get like into more weirder shit because everything that I thought was cool that people thought was revolutionary is like normal now. Like psychedelics are normal and like et cetera, cannabis, et cetera, right? But here's the thing. When we were all sitting around smoking weed or we were all at Burning Man or a festival, we all were doing the same thing. We'd be all high, loving the shit out of each other, loving nature, and saying, I wish everybody could be here. I wish everybody in the world would get on this trip. And that's what's happening. And we have to remember that maybe not you guys because you're cool, but I'm a dork and I came into every scene uncool, just trying my best. And so we have to realize as these people come into the scene, it's not going to look like us coming in. It's going to look weird, but we need them in because until we get rid of the us versus them dichotomy, all we're going to have is endless war, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's endless war.
Well, you got to be ready for the change. I just think it's interesting with them stepping up. With that 6.7 billion dropped by.
Oh man, the internet. He got shot up. He got his house shot up by the internet gang wars.
What?
Rico, picking it off.
I got all my bars.
Yeah. So, what do you think is interesting?
I think it's interesting with Arena Pharmaceuticals being bought by Pfizer at the end of last year, 6.7 billion, and now you have Altria just publicly saying that, oh yeah, we're getting healthier. We're going with cannabis, and they're going to drop half of that 2 billion into cannabis and just not even think about it. They'll write it off as a loss, right?
No problem. Well, no, I mean they're going to have to be careful with how they write that off as a loss, but
I mean they just lost 13 billion on Juul and they don't give a shit.
I know, but it's like a company like that can afford, company like that can afford 280E, and so
right,
yeah.
I think it's like people need to be aware. I'm not trying to say like anybody should be scared or anything like that, but you got to be aware of the big picture. That these motherfuckers are here, and they need us. But the more that we bicker and fight with each other, like the easier it is for them to just take our business.
Yes, we must all hang together, or we will surely hang separately. Ben Franklin.
This is true.
Yeah,
very true.
I mean, when people are getting hung out to dry, isn't it better to get hung out separately so you can dry faster?
Just like being hung.
It depends on what you're hanging there, Jason.
I bet. We got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. Thank you, everybody.
Do it.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
He is the industry's longest continuously operating retailer, self-proclaimed highest Republican in the game, well known for smoking the best weed in the world. And I'm sure none of that TMZ action that I saw on Friday was fake. When I saw him standing next to a couple of Kenyans on the podium, winning medals, doing it for the game. Up next, you know who it is. It is Jason Beck.
Yes. That is true. And I even beat Diplo, who ran it in 4 hours and 20 seconds and was on acid the whole time he was running. So shout out to Diplo. That is a major accomplishment just for the fact that you did that. Good job. Good job, guys. But my story, is probably going to trigger somebody. So I'm going to give you a trigger warning, but that's right. It goes to Florida. Hope you guys are all ready. Because a Florida babysitter is accused of putting lit marijuana cigarettes in a 1-year-old's mouth, deputies say. Oh, boy. A Florida teenager was arrested on a felony child abuse charge on Friday after she recorded herself putting a marijuana cigarette in a child's mouth, according to the deputies. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office said the teenager of Largo was babysitting a 1-year-old belonging to a 16-year-old friend of hers. Deputies said when they responded to a report of child abuse at the teen's home in unincorporated Largo, the 17-year-old admitted to smoking marijuana around the child, but denied giving the child the cigarette. However, according to the sheriff's office, detectives were able to find a video of the babysitter recorded showing her putting the cigarette in the 1-year-old's mouth. The victim then inhales while the lit marijuana cigarette is in their mouth, and the embers begin to glow brighter and brighter. A release from the sheriff's office states the teen then takes the marijuana cigarette out of the mouth of the 1-year-old victim and places it into her mouth and inhales, causing the embers to glow even brighter. Detectives said when they interviewed the teenager again on Friday, she admitted to her actions, but did not explain why she put the marijuana cigarette in the child's mouth. The suspect was then taken to the Pinellas Juvenile Assessment Center after being arrested due to her age. Nextstar's WFLA will not be sharing her name because she is a minor. Oh, man, I think this is just a tragic case, and man, shouldn't be recording that type of shit on social media, kids. But this is Jason Beck. I'm going to digress and see what y'all have to say, because I just see all kinds of wrong things with the story. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think?
You shouldn't put it on social media. You shouldn't be fucking doing it.
I agree with that part too.
This is like a parent's nightmare. Why you scared to even pick babysitters, period.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the kid was just acting erratic and they were trying to calm the child down.
No.
I hear you're supposed to shake a baby when they do that.
Oh, I thought I'll give it
them a little in the face, really hard.
What's wrong with you, Jason? Do you really expect anybody here to be like on the side of the babysitter?
I didn't expect anyone to be on the side of the babysitter. Right. I'm not even on the side of the babysitter.
Yeah, everybody knows you give kids gummies, dude.
Yeah,
you don't want them smoking.
Is that what it is? You give them the gummies, huh?
Whatever happened to you give kids like some hard ass liquor, like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help them sleep.
Yeah, give them like a shot of whiskey or some shit like that.
You just rub it on their little gums.
Oh, you give them a gum shot, huh, Gretchen?
A little whiskey, yeah.
Little gummer.
Okay, listen, no joke. Actually, CBD and a little bit of THCA salve on babies' gums is not a bad thing when they're teething. It actually really helps. But cigarettes, giving it to a baby, I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. But let's talk for a minute about this teenager coming into someone else's house with this product in their purse. I don't know. As a mom who has kids who are old enough to babysit and be out there doing their thing, like, I don't know what's going on with kids these days. And I sound so old saying this. I feel old saying this, but like, my kids have access to cannabis every day and would never walk into someone else's house with it. Like, this is just more dialogue that needs to happen. And what the hell with this stupid babysitter? Like, whatever's coming her way, the hard lesson learned, she won't forget.
Right? It makes you wonder if the parents of the kid like smoked weed like with said babysitter before, right?
What?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't catch
your
that.
Internet is all they're shooting your house up right now.
If the parents, let me turn on this Clubhouse shit. If the parents actually smoked weed with the babysitter before, like why did the babysitter even feel so?
How do you know that the parents smoked weed with a babysitter?
I'm asking. I'm like, it makes you wonder.
That was not in the story. No, I'm willing to bet
if they're smoking weed freely in there, it makes you wonder if they've smoked weed with the parents before.
First of all, the story references that she was watching her friend's child, and her friend, I believe, said that the mother was 16. Let me go back to the story.
So I think you're right. I think it said the mother was 16 and the person babysitting was 17.
Correct. Yes.
They probably have smoked weed together. Because you really felt like it's a good idea or some shit.
It's just a bunch of babies having babies.
That's right. That is babies having babies. That is for sure. I mean, man, like you're sitting there and like, what gives you the idea? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put this lit joint. I mean, I wonder if they watched too many episodes of The Hangover in Taiwan or something.
Just bad parenting upon bad parenting, and kids not being supervised watching infants, and that baby should a baby should be under some protective custody.
But it's not even that they're watching infants; they're watching their child. I mean, it's another teenager's baby.
Watching her friend's child.
Whatever.
The whole point is that was just a gross overstep of that girl. It was a gross negligence in really researching their babysitter on the parents' part. And all parents, we hope we do the best that we can, but sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know. And what are you going to do? Ask everybody at the door, please let me look through your purse before you come in my house. Right. Your common sense tells you
this is not some random
going to be an issue.
Yeah, this is not some random
babysitter that they picked up. Friend. This is their friend.
They're best friends.
Yeah.
These are two 17-year-old girls.
16 and a 17-year-old. I bet you they're still best friends, Mandy, after this. 100% they are. I bet you the mom actually will go and bail her friend out of jail.
Nah, she probably doesn't have an adult to go with her learner's permit to go get the friend out of jail.
Yeah, it's just
these kids got Uber nowadays.
It's a sad story, like all around, and I just hope that baby's okay. That's all.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Rico. And with that, we're going to keep it moving. We're going to go to the feisty redheaded conservative who loves to argue with Rico. She loves to be proven right, especially when she's not. That's right. It is Gretchen Gailey.
I love the vindication, especially when Matthew St. Germain says he agrees with me. That makes my whole day.
So yeah, that definitely is a big deal that Matthew St. Germain agreed with you. That means a whole lot.
Always. Anyway.
Okay.
My headline this morning is coming from Marijuana Moment. Bipartisan senators file bill to ease restrictions on industrial hemp farmers. A bipartisan pair of U.S. senators have filed a bill to reduce regulations on farmers that grow industrial hemp for non-extraction purposes. Senator John Tester and Mike Braun introduced the Industrial Hemp Act on Thursday, the latest piece of congressional legislation focused on the crop, which was federally legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill. As it stands, hemp and its derivatives like CBD that contain no more than 0.3% THC by dry weight are not controlled substances, and regulatory responsibility falls with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The new bill seeks to create a distinction between industrial hemp that's grown for products like fiber and hemp for any purpose, which would cover crops cultivated to extract cannabinoids like CBD. Farmers that cultivate industrial hemp would no longer be subject to background checks in order to participate in the market, and they would have to fulfill rigorous sampling and testing requirements. Instead, they would simply have to go through an annual visual inspection where they would need to demonstrate that they're growing the crop for a purpose covered under the new industrial hemp definition. If they failed the initial visual review, they would then need to provide documentation demonstrating a clear intent and in-field practices consistent with the designation of industrial hemp. Only if they refused to do so would regulators then be empowered to physically test harvested plant material. Montana farmers don't need government bureaucrats putting unnecessary burdens on their operations, Tester said in a press release. It's time we cut red tape and make it easier for industrial hemp farmers to get their product to market. My bipartisan bill builds on Montana's leadership on hemp policy and creates good-paying jobs for folks across rural America. Braun added that it's important that we set American farmers up for success by cutting burdensome regulations and red tape. This legislation will expand opportunities for industrial hemp producers in Indiana and across the country and allow them to tap into one of the fastest growing agricultural markets. The measure also preempts states and tribes from enacting requirements on industrial hemp growers that are more stringent than those laid out in the bill. It further provides that anyone who knowingly produces hemp crops that are inconsistent with their designation will be ineligible to participate in the legal hemp industry for a period of 5 years. This bill's introduction comes as discussions are heating up over the next iteration of the Farm Bill, in which lawmakers will likely try to include provisions to further ease burdens on the hemp market. Stakeholders have backed several standalone measures that tackle this issue so far this Congress. Well, I would say this bill is a terrible idea. While I appreciate what I think they're trying to do, I think if they want to actually get some change, help farmers, they need to look at this as what it is. Cannabis is all the same damn plant. Stop trying to designate different rules for different uses of the plant. They need to come down to one rule overall for all of it. Make all cannabis a lovely commodity crop grown just like tomatoes, lettuce, any other damn agricultural product in this country, and stop treating it like it's the damn boogeyman. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News. St. Germain, do you agree with me?
Word to that.
I even agree with you on this, Gretchen.
Oh, mom and dad are getting along.
Unanimous. It's unanimous.
Wow.
Yeah,
this doesn't help. I get what they're trying to do, but it doesn't help.
They're further complicating things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
all right, we're all in agreement. Next.
That never happens. Wow.
Isn't that Gretchen? What they like to do is to create more problems, so then that way they can act like they have more solutions.
That's a great question, Jason. I had a similar question for Gretchen. If the answer is so simple as like we all agree, right, and we do here, from their perspective, why do it that way? Why make it?
Because they don't understand the nuances of the plant. I mean, they would rather, they think they're making it easier because hemp is legal under the Farm Bill. So in theory, there's a whole lot of gray in the damn Farm Bill, this bill would not be necessary as is. To signal, What?
Wouldn't you just call it shade instead of gray because of all of the overhang from all the leaves?
Jason Beck, I got nothing for that, but it's just not working. To keep trying to put cannabis into so many different lanes does not help with regulations, does not help with red tape, does not help people understand how they are supposed to move forward with cultivating this crop. I mean, if he wants to push this bullshit, I guess push it on the state level in Montana. If it's truly affecting Montana hemp growers so much, take this to a state lawmaker and get it passed there. See if that helps.
I mean, what do you think about this on-site visit, though?
What are you talking about?
The on-site visit that they basically, you have an on-site visit if you want to be deemed compliant.
But who the hell is going to inspect it?
Right.
Who from the USDA is coming out to visually inspect your cannabis to make sure this is cannabis, not hemp? And
maybe they'll have a portal and you'll just upload a photo.
Well, that's not what a visual inspection would be.
Put it on
that would be a visual inspection, technically.
Please upload a photo of yourself smoking this and not getting high to prove it's hemp.
Yeah,
it's inspector on Signal.
Exactly. Oh man,
I don't know. I don't see this going anywhere.
You don't see it going anywhere?
Hell no. I mean, maybe they try and stick this into the Farm Bill, but
I
think that's just going to create more confusion.
Farm Bill
disaster.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good thing the law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Yeah, coming up next. That's right. It is the Count himself. He's been around and traveled more moons. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad. Sorry. I apologize.
Damn, Jay.
My bad.
The thoughts, opinions, and shade thrown at High at 9 News are those of Jason Beck and not any of the other individual speakers or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding legal status of any substance in any country, area, or territory, or any of its authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary responsibility or relationship. Our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion what's the part of any speaker on. So if you are an easily offended person, I don't know, pray about it.
Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
That porno music gets me every time, man.
Oh man, there we go. Yeah.
How do you know it's porno music?
All music is porno music.
I mean, Keith Sweat was. But yeah, coming up next, that's right. We have the Count himself. He's been around for more moons than most people on this planet. You should definitely Google him and check him out. He's a cannabis wizard, and he's also a fellow Flower Emerald Cup judge. And we just got done judging a whole bunch of weed this weekend. That's right. It is the immortal Count himself, Matthew St. Germain.
Thank you, Jason. Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you from this gigantic Chai-Z Nug today with a great story. Workers at two more cannabis companies are unionizing with the Teamsters and the United Farm Workers Union, the UFCW. Nearly 100 drivers and warehouse workers at Grassdoor, one of the largest cannabis delivery platforms in California, joined Teamsters Local 2785, uniting them with more than 300 of their union brothers and sisters at the company's Southern California location who affiliated with the Teamsters in January. Kerry Qualls and Alexander Torres are drivers for Grassdoor in Brisbane. And they say, why do I think it's important for cannabis workers to unionize? Well, grocery stores are union, construction workers are union, everyone else can unionize, so why not us? There's certain things I want that we don't get, paid vacation, paid time off, and I think by joining the Teamsters, we can negotiate to get those things, Torres said. The Teamsters are great. If something at work comes around and it's not your liking, they'll be there to back you up. Teamsters have been active in the cannabis industry in the past year, including unionizing bud tenders at Captain Jack's in San Bernardino, California in February. Miscellaneous employees, Teamster Local 987 won an unfair labor practice complaint filed against SNDL Incorporated, formerly Sundial Growers Incorporated, at the Alberta Labor Relations Board in Canada. In late November, Teamsters Local 777 helped organize an unfair labor practice strike outside Revolution Global's Enlightened Dispensary in beautiful Schaumburg, Illinois. United Food and Commercial Workers Local 360 announced a decision by workers at Valley Wellness in Raritan, New Jersey to unionize as members of UFCW. Oh, so that was food and commercial workers, not farm workers. As Valley Wellness notes on its website, providing great products starts with a great foundation. That means employing a knowledgeable staff and providing a welcoming environment. According to Valley Wellness, its staff knows cannabis inside and out and is noted as a key driver of customer satisfaction and ultimately the company's current, future, and success. Valley Wellness and its owner, Sarah Trent, has already proven to be a great addition to the growing New Jersey cannabis community, stated Hugh Giordano, UFCW Local 360's Director of Organizing. We're looking forward to a long and mutually beneficial relationship with what is one of the first standalone dispensary operators in the state, a company that provides a refreshing alternative to the large number of multi-state operators here. UFCW's recent activities in the cannabis industry include employees at Curaleaf's Edgewater, New Jersey dispensary voted to organize as members in October, and workers at True Leave, North Shore Medical Cannabis Dispensary, voted to join Local 1776 in September as well. And I'm excited about this. I know there's a lot of up and down about people back and forth about the unions, but I think it's important that we all should remember the union is why there's no child labor. Union is why there's a 5-day work week instead of a 7-day work week. Unions are why the workday stops at 8 hours and you start to get paid time and a half and double. And I know friends who are in different trades and are teachers, and those unions make sure that they have retirement benefits, they have sick leave, they get paid better, they're really looked after, and they do have to pay a little bit every month. But for that month, that bit they pay, they're taken care of for the entirety of their life. And so I'm really interested to hear, especially what Jason and Gretchen have to say about unionization coming to the cannabis industry. But everybody pile on.
Well,
I'm just waiting for my union rep before I respond to this question.
Saint Germain, I have zero problems with unions. My mother was a public school teacher, and she would tell me all the time, the unions who's putting food on this table. So I have zero problems with unions. Frankly, I think that helps to break down the stigma of cannabis. Unions is something that lawmakers understand. I think this helps to make us look more legitimate and that we are willing to come together for good work practices for our laborers. So I'm all for unions getting into the space.
It's a total sham.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Please elaborate, Jason Beck.
I mean,
come on, Jason.
For all the, especially the top three reasons that Matthew said at first is the reason why I'm not a fan of unions. Now I will say this is that unions are somewhat of a necessary evil that some industries need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like cannabis. Yep. Like big cannabis.
You know, the thing I like about unions is it for me, a big reason why I was in the cannabis and psychedelic economy is because instead of two guys at the top getting to go to the Maldives, 3 times a year and everybody else getting a green shirt, a name tag, minimum wage, and nothing, cannabis was an area, at least in my scene and particular people's scenes that I really, floated with, where everybody was getting an equitable shake. And we ran it more like a pirate ship where the captain gets 2 shares, everybody else gets 1 share. And I was paying my trimmers, even when people were paying their trimmers $120, I was paying my trimmers $200 plus food, smoking mad weed with them.
Matey.
And the cool thing for me was, instead of just me making a ton of money and fuck everybody else who was helping me realize my dreams, I had friends who were able to make clothing lines, and I had friends who were able to make art or music, and were able to actually contribute to the culture of humanity because they had free time and enough money. And so for me, any move that allows a more equitable sharing of the proceeds of everyone's labor is a good step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the thing is like when you get these unions that are like all or nothing kind of thing, and they're not willing to compromise, that just creates a real glut in the workforce. I know just out here in Los Angeles, there was a big teachers union strike, and there was a bunch of kids that weren't being able to go to school,
right?
And all because of the teachers unions, and the teachers unions were negotiated with. Let's just say they wanted 30, they offered them 27, but they wouldn't take the 27. They're like, no, we're just going to keep on striking and until we get to
I
think if we're going to have an argument about LA teachers unions, we should really talk about rent prices in Los Angeles.
I wasn't having an argument about LA teachers unions. I was using them as an example.
That's called an argument.
No, that's not an argument. I was using them as my example.
It was a terrible example.
You're a perfect example.
I don't think it is.
You're crazy. What are you talking about?
It's a garbage example.
Dad, you got to take the dogs for a walk. Everybody's mad at you.
Whatever. I'll be mad all you want.
I do. Well, if we look at the chat, we got Nick Bradley saying here that the state shouldn't be requiring companies with more than 5 employees to have a labor peace agreement. That's excessive.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's an acceptable number?
Maybe 25.
I just think
25.
I just think it depends on the industry and then and the disparaging, the gap of wealth there for the work that they do.
This by with those statutes for people that don't want to be in unions, it just makes them diversify all of their companies up that much more and divide this division into this company and that division into that company, so that way they're never employing more than the threshold. And I would say that forcing those types of things actually hampers job growth because people don't want to employ more than that threshold just for those reasons.
So it sounds like the problem is unethical business owners, and they're playing games with the current system.
That's not unethical. That's how you want to run your business. If people want to run their business that way, they have the choice. If you don't want to work,
it's unethical. I think we need to start going in on definitions of words, right? It's not immoral, but it is unethical. If you're trying to literally play a shell game with your assets and lie to the government,
not unethical.
I think it is.
No, that's fake news.
I'm going to my room, Dad. I've had enough of this.
Jason Beck has spoken, guys.
I'm just keeping it real.
I think it all depends, man. It just all depends on the line of work, and I mean, is it a franchise?
Absolutely.
Is
it just a brand, or is it a plant-touching company?
Yeah, I don't think unions belong everywhere, but when you can be taken advantage of, and you can be exploited, and you don't really have the proper means to support yourself, Like you gotta have a union to take care of you, man.
Oh God, cry me a river, you guys. We're gonna go to commercial. We're gonna be back. Wow, wow, wow.
Pimp back. This NorCal dope dad extraordinaire is a former police officer. He traded in his gun and his badge for a blunt and a notepad. Came in there, joined the fucking team, and is always bringing the heat. Monday mornings, my man, Chris Egger. What do you have for us today, my brother?
Yo, good morning. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Lively debate this Monday. Really appreciating it. And just great to see everybody. My article today comes out of Monterey, Salinas. 2 Bay Area men were arrested for cannabis factory break-in. Police issue warning is the headline. 2 Bay Area men were arrested in connection with a break-in Greenfield cannabis cultivation facility and are now part of a police investigation to see whether the pair was connected to a string of cannabis burglaries stretching from the Central Coast to the Bay Area. As we're all aware, this issue has become increasingly problematic, and we're seeing more of these types of reports in the media. I think it's good that we're talking about it. According to Sergeant Justin Matkey with Greenfield Police, he said, quote, "We're working around with other agencies like Santa Cruz, Salinas, Oakland, all the way up to the Bay Area," which Oakland's the Bay Area, Sarge, and Stockton. "We're just trying to connect the pieces of the puzzle and see how they're related and if they connect in different ways." There was 12 men who tried to burglarize a cultivation site on the 1000 block of Cherry Ave in Santa Cruz, and they said they're just trying to put the pieces together of this puzzle. After the Santa Cruz break-in, police issued a warning to other cannabis businesses. Police now, according to this article, are trying to link these folks to other burglaries in the area, all the way up to the Bay Area north, using cell phones. So they're basically telling us in this article how their investigation is going and how they're trying to connect these dots. They're asking that, and this is why I wanted to share this article. The sergeant said, quote, "Getting their security guards a little more training to what to look for and hiring more security guards is one of the suggestions they're making." The reason I bring that up is there's a recent article in SF Gate and a bunch of Bay Area publications of the Oakland Chinatown. I know this is not specifically cannabis related, but Oakland Chinatown businesses being burglarized. They're having a lot of issues. So it's not just cannabis businesses, but it is cannabis businesses, and it's causing businesses to struggle financially to recover from these acts. And then in response to that, Oakland Chinatown District doubled the private patrol vendor that they hired. So, you know, these solutions are multifaceted, they're multi-layered. Throwing security guards at the problem is not going to fix the problem. It's just going to waste more money. And I wanted to share that today because this problem is increasing in the Bay Area, and I'll be following it more closely. Thanks again for having me back on this Monday morning. I miss you guys.
Chris, so these guys, you're saying that they've made a major discovery and a development that could hamper this crime ring that has been plaguing Oakland and San Francisco and the Bay Area?
I don't think it's one crime ring, in my personal opinion. Obviously, I've got, you know,
is this from your law enforcement background, your expert opinion, what you're quoting here? Are you putting your cop hat on for this opinion?
Yeah, definitely. And also just, you know, looking at, you know, other various folks that we're helping out, right? And stuff that we have access to and seeing, you know, vehicles and people and, you know, times. I mean, some of these crews are hitting at the same time, right? There is obviously crews that are hitting multiple facilities and that's their MO. But this problem is quite large. You know, it's not just the Bay Area. It's all the way up in, you know, it's everywhere. I mean, Sacramento, Reno, I mean, name it. Every area that has cannabis businesses is going through this right now. So I don't think it comes down to just one crew.
Our friend and fellow Judge Reese got hit. Her Posh Greens in San Francisco got hit the day before Friday. Friday. She was bombing, dude. And I have a lot of friends, SOG Army, SOG Army, Phenotopia, like tons of places in the North Bay have been getting hit too. And it's just, I just think it's time that the state of California stops publicly listing everybody's license on the website. Because it's literally, it just gives you like, it just gives you the criminal roll call. It's like, cool, let's go check all these addresses and see who's got the most max security.
You know, I'd also add this, right? Like, I think there's a lot of grant dollars being released to the municipalities who then control those grant dollars. And it's really frustrating to see, because we're helping a couple folks out. Some of these grant dollars are specific to social equity. So we've donated some time to help folks navigate that process. And that process is extremely hard to get that money. I think it really, part of this solution is falling on the municipalities to be responsible about the grant dollars that are being released, so that they go to operators in a way that actually affects change and can actually help circumvent and deal with this issue. I don't want to see this money get wasted. There's a lot of really good operators that are struggling and looking for answers. And obviously the entity they can reach out and touch is their local municipality. But in my opinion, a lot of these municipalities are being very irresponsible with how they're spending this money. They're looking at, status quo, old school ways, throwing it at security guards, throwing it at more police overtime. We need to start thinking outside the box and really start thinking about how we can solve this problem. We're dealing with it on the micro with our growing client base and having success, but there's opportunities to utilize grant dollars in a better way, in our opinion.
Fascinating stuff. Well, I'm hope they are able to get these crooks off the street and stop terrorizing all these cannabis businesses, because it is real easy for these people to resell a lot of this product after they it's in high demand. It's easy to mail. I mean, there's just a lot of problems with this all the way around.
Yep. And I think a lot of people point to, safe banking. That comes up. We get that question a lot. In our experience, folks are after the product first and the money second. That's why facilities that don't have a ton of cash laying around. You think they're
after the product first? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
Well, my opinion is just on looking at footage of burglaries and where people are actually targeting. Right.
Well, my thought of it is this is the thing is cash is always your number one thing if you're going in to rob a place. Now, the cash may not be in the most accessible place, and the product happens to be, so it's a lot easier to just steal the product. So therefore, it could give you the impression that their number one thing that they're after is the product. But the reality of it is they still have to sell that to get cash, as opposed to cash. They just take it. They can turn that into whatever they want. So I'm sticking with that. Their number one motivation thing is cash. But since weed is easy to sell, that makes it easy to steal.
Jason Beck with the pro spin.
I like it. It's always good. It's always good to have a good JB response, right?
Just some truth in there. You know what I mean? That's all. Just a little bit of truth.
Oh we got to get you a turnbuckle behind you so you can go off the turnbuckle on people, bro.
Yes.
Spinning,
flipping, and flopping.
Stop
all over the place.
Stop it. But continue on that, please, Chris.
That was all I wanted to share. I appreciate your dialogue back and forth.
That was it.
But it's again, I kind of want to pick on the municipalities. I think that, the state's giving a lot of grant dollars. I mean, we're talking like a lot of money. And I think it's imperative that they're responsible and make sure that the end user, the operator, the business owner, the person who struggled to, enter this industry and wants to thrive, that they're helping them do that. Because businesses are leaving specific municipalities because of this issue specifically.
Yeah, let's just say you were in charge of those grant dollars to be spent, Chris. How would you say that they needed to be spent first, of how they're not currently being allocated?
I would say that's two quick answers for you. One is starting with the discovery process to really understand the depth of the problem. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, I think a phased approach is best. There's not one piece of the pie within a security solution that's going to make up, the answer here. It's going to be a multi-layered, multifaceted phased approach. But I think that needs to be done with a public-private partnership, so that folks can be held accountable. It's too hard to hold municipalities and law enforcement accountable. I don't think that money needs to be going directly to one piece of the pie, but an overall solution.
You should turn these dispensary parking lots into Squid Game.
It's really interesting to me how much money is required to put in these security systems and all these licensed businesses. But then when actual crime is happening against these business operators, it seems to me, my experience actually has been that police are incredibly slow to respond. And I'm just like, if the footage that we have on our cameras is really all we have to help catch these people, and the police are super unresponsive, it's like the amount of money that we're pouring into this seems like there needs to be a bridge built between the businesses and their local law enforcement in order to build some kind of relationship and attachment and getting them to look out for you and be more responsive when things go down. There's so many operators out there that have mentioned that they've called the police and the police literally say, we're not coming, period.
I mean,
right. And that's why it's super important to have, there's, I don't want to bogart this conversation or spend too much time on it, but there's technology out there that allows to remove that barrier away from law enforcement, meaning, that reactive approach. There's opportunities out there that we've utilized with various clients to get law enforcement there very quickly. There's various proactive video monitoring solutions, et cetera, but there's evolving technologies that are much more cost effective than guards that allow for quicker police response times. And I totally agree with you, Mandy, but it's
going to start sending out RoboCop, AI RoboCop.
That would be a dope.
Telling you. All right, so I have a question for you, for Mandy, and kind of even possibly for Chris. Do you think that some of the reason that law enforcement doesn't really react so fast to cannabis businesses is because a lot of cannabis businesses support defunding the police, and therefore there's a low morale amongst law enforcement to protect people that don't support them?
I don't know that I'm going to go that far. Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead. Chris.
There's absolutely a stigma. I don't know for that specific reason, but there is a stigma against cannabis businesses. I've shared this before, but right before I left law enforcement, I was a foot beat officer on Market Street, and a new dispensary had opened up. Head nodded the manager. They invited me in, shook their hands, gave my business card, and said, "Hey, if you need anything, this is kind of where I post up." They're a regular business in my mind, and I wanted to be supportive. They were cool. I was cool, and that was that. I thought that was doing a pretty good job that day, right? To that citizen and that business owner. As I leave the store, my sergeant's in the middle of Market Street in his cop car, and he waves me over and he says, "Don't go into those places." And I said, "No." If that's how you feel, put that in an email, something that I can hold up and document that says you want me to stay out of this tax-paying business, because the day after Thanksgiving, you're going to send me over to stand in front of Gap, another retail location. So absolutely, there's a stigma within law enforcement.
What I think law enforcement also struggles with finding where their place is with us, right? Historically, we've been the enemy. And now there's this massive brain shift and transition that officers and their bosses and authority figures are having to adopt. And many of them don't want to adopt it.
I don't disagree with you, but sorry to interrupt, Mandy. Now, I don't disagree with you. I disagree that it shouldn't be the case. Something was illegal, now it's legal. Law enforcement's job is not to decide if the laws are good or bad.
That is what they always used to say, is I don't write the laws. If you want to,
but it's a thought process, right? It's a training, it's a conditioning that's been in your head. Law enforcement, military, they're very highly conditioned employees. Right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either, but I also think that law enforcement should be able to flip a switch. I mean, like, I feel like I'm a regular dude, and I was a cop for a very long time in some pretty interesting jurisdictions. If something was illegal and now it's legal, it's like, okay, cool. I mean, possession of crack rock was a felony. You go to jail for one little rock. At one point in my law enforcement career, toward the end of my law enforcement career, it was a ticket. To me, I didn't struggle with that change. I didn't struggle with not putting handcuffs. I'm like, okay, if that's the rule now, then, and I come across it, then I guess here's your ticket, man. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. That's not my job. And it's just
not everybody's as cool as you, Chris.
Chris, do you think what if anything can help bridge that gap, can help find that common ground between smokers of the herb and enforcers of the law?
I think it comes down to holding law enforcement accountable for what we need them to do, and it's very simple. In this specific instance, we need law enforcement to respond to calls for service in a timely manner. We need them to follow up with investigations. We need to have them be transparent about their investigations. We need to have them be open and honest about whether they're investigating things or not. We know in a lot of jurisdictions, someone's facility gets absolutely destroyed and they lose just a ton of money and a ton of product, and there's really no response from law enforcement on a follow-up investigation. So, law enforcement forces are across California, especially in the Bay Area, struggling for bodies. But in addition to that, the bar has lowered, in my opinion, because they're struggling to fill academies. So, this is a very long conversation and a lot of moving parts here. But I would say very simply that we need them to respond to calls for service in a timely manner.
100%. And I just want to give a shout out to whatever cops or detectives have think that they're going to crack this case on these burglary guys. So we shall see. But coming up next, that's right, she's a mom. She's a cannabis executive, and she loves to show the world how being a mom and a cannabis executive can go hand in hand with a little bit of swag. That's right. It is the Mandy Tingler.
Thank you. Today's article is short and sweet, but it's full of good news for our friends out in Texas. It says a bill would allow Texas physicians to prescribe medical cannabis. Texas lawmakers drafted a bill that would allow physicians to prescribe medicinal cannabis for patients battling chronic pain instead of opioid prescriptions. HB 1805, authored by Republican Stephanie Click in Tarrant County, was approved by the House Public Health Committee with a 10-0 vote on Monday, March 20th. The bill allows the Department of State Health Services to identify medical conditions that would qualify patients for the program. The bill expands the conditions for patients to qualify for prescription of low THC medical cannabis, including a condition that causes chronic pain for which a physician would, quote, otherwise prescribe an opioid. If passed, the bill will take effect September 1st. The Compassionate Use Program, or CUP, in 2015, which allowed for the first legal use of low THC cannabis products in the state, was, according to the Texas State Law Library, was originally solely for patients with intractable epilepsy, but was later expanded to include other conditions in 2019 and 2001 by the Texas legislature to be more inclusive. The program is available now for patients with medical conditions such as epilepsy, autism, cancer, multiple sclerosis, post-traumatic stress disorder, etc. Information on Texas medical marijuana on texas.gov says that low THC comes from a plant called Cannabis sativa L. Part of the plant that makes up a maximum of 0.05% by weight of the THC are considered low THC. Medical use of the plant is limited to swallowing a prescribed dose, not smoking it. Patients can be prescribed low THC if they are permanent residents of Texas, has one of the listed medical conditions, is a CUP registered physician, and their physician decides that the benefit of the prescription outweighs the risk. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there were over 106,000 drug-involved overdose deaths in 2021 in the U.S. This includes both illicit and prescription drugs. Deaths involving drug overdose from prescription drugs rose from 3,442 in 1999 to 17,029 in 2017, said one report. Between 2017 and 2019, the number of deaths increased to 14,139, but increased to 16,416 in 2020. By 2021, the number of deaths slightly increased to over 16,000 plus. Although medical marijuana is legal in the state of Texas, it's still very limited, but recreational marijuana is banned outside of some products with synthetic forms of THC, which is the part that gives the high. According to a study at the University of Houston, out of 1,200 adults, 4 out of 5 adults surveyed said they would support an expanded medical marijuana program. They also said it would be in favor of decriminalizing marijuana possession, and 2/3 of them said that they would support legalizing recreational adult use, according to the Austin Bureau writer Edward McKinley. Guys, this is very exciting news coming out of Texas. Personally, I always thought Texas would be a big-time sleeper state and be way behind. They're only halfway behind the rest of the country, but talk about exciting that doctors can start writing prescriptions if this passes. This is huge news. And I also love the fact that they have a start date of September 1st and they're not pushing it out 2 or 3 years from now. This is Mandy at High at 9. What you think?
And Mandy, this was introduced by a Republican, right?
Sure was.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right, you guys.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Good thing.
It was introduced by a human being.
Just saying.
Can you imagine, though, a day where you walk into your doctor's office and instead of being written a prescription for whatever, they finally have enough education and permission to write a prescription for a medication that's less invasive. Can you imagine that day? I'm so excited for that.
I feel
day.
like we'll see if the lieutenant governor kills this or whatnot. So
I don't know. It was a unanimous vote approving it.
We'll see.
Without pushing the conversation into a death spiral of chaos, is it actually going to be a prescription?
Yeah. Well, hold on. You know, it's funny you say that because we do have Dr. Felicia from the Clubhouse audience comment on this, and was wondering if you can help shed some light on that, Dr. Felicia. They're calling it a prescription, but is it going to have the same rights as a real prescription federally?
I don't. Hey, everybody! I don't know that it's going to be a prescription, but what I did come up to say was that overdoses and suicide has now become the #1 cause for maternal mortality, and so some of these laws that are trying to restrict cannabis to pregnant women need to be rethought because our current medical model is failing our mothers. And this is only data through 2019. If you add the pandemic in there, I'm sure this number is going to be worse. So overdose and suicide has now superseded hemorrhage, stroke, heart disease, infections as the #1 cause of death in pregnant women and women who have just delivered in the immediate postpartum period. So I just want to throw that out there because you have a lot of coverage about cannabis is bad in pregnancy, but nobody's talking about the fact that overdose and suicide is now the #1 cause that's killing mothers.
Wow, I did not know that, Dr. Felicia, and I love the new picture of you. It looks fantastic.
You know, Dr. Felicia, I'm so glad that you actually brought that specific topic up about mothers because at Canamommy, we actually have an entire support group for moms who have just had babies and are looking to help ward off postpartum depression and anxiety symptomology. It's definitely a topic that's worthy of exploring. I know this isn't really the platform, but it's definitely a thing to talk about. So if you are a mom out there and you're listening, there is canamommy.org. We are here for you. Just holler. We will definitely help you.
Yes.
Gretchen, what do you think about this, Gretchen?
I'm not as optimistic as Mandy. I don't think it's going to go very far in Texas.
You think the lieutenant governor is going to kill it?
Yeah, I don't think it has a chance in hell.
At all.
Not a chance.
You think it's more Greg Abbott or who's
no,
the attorney general?
Texas's chance to lead the charge.
I think the lieutenant governor's name is Dan Patrick, if I recall correctly.
Texas has not led the charge in anything, and
I
they're not going to start now.
I know.
Don't tell that to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
Because they lead the charge.
You ain't first, your last, Texas. Just saying.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well,
go ahead,
Texas. I love me some Texas, but I can't stand some Dan Patrick always blocking the good man's herb. But we are at the top of the hour, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. Another 1 hour of love, the love fest for all you fucking haters out there. Thank you for watching another episode of 9 News. And you can catch us weekdays at 9 a.m. high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the live audience members and online supporters giving us feedback on the daily health chaos known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted industry correspondent team from all over the global community, bringing us a variety of perspective and cherries and berries behind you there, man. I hear some cops. And adding to your expertise, our conversations. The High 9 production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and big love out to Jaja Simone. She's actually at the doctor. She's gonna have a big surgery coming up, so send some love and prayers out her way. But she usually is out there holding things down in Clubhouse. I hope they were okay today. But to the haters, get a job. Finally, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we show up every day, nothing but love and affection for you. It is Monday, March 27th, 2023. The show is over and you've been blessed with today's top industry headlines. We hope it was enough to put in your pipe and smoke it at least until tomorrow. Chris Eggers, you got the outro today, man. What you got? You got a message for the people?
Have a blessed day. That's it.
There you have it. Praise Jesus.